Hello, I'm Simon O'Connor, and this is
Rosemary Dugan.
okay. We are two health and fitness professionals who come together to develop a health and wellness program that's basically about linking the mind and the body, so you can achieve long-term goals. Rosemary, tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I've been in fitness for over 18 years now, and done everything, including personal training, group fitness. Basically, aqua is where I specialise, and I've lectured in fitness as well, and I now run my own health and wellness business, which is holistic, and it's about linking the mind and the body and the emotions and everything, because fitness started to become very one dimension. People just worrying about what they look like, but a lot of their eating habits and things are, after being trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. As a therapist now, I know that there's a lot more to it, and it's about taking control of your mind to help everything else fall into place.
Excellent. And I'm Simon, and I've been working in the industry for about 26 years, from a multitude of jobs. There's currently developing a special interest in the area of basically looking at the mind and the body and how they're connected. And the fact is that the attrition rates in fitness are huge. They're extremely high, and the one area that most people don't look at is the fact that they're not getting their mind right and just focusing trying to get the body right, and the two actually go hand in hand. So that's going to be kind of the focus of today's little podcast. So Rosemary, what's NLP? Sorry.
So neuro-linguistic programming. So neuro meaning obviously about the brain and the language of our brain, how everything works. Linguistic is the language of the brain, like I said. It's not just verbal, we're talking about body language, symbolism, our perception of things. And then programming is basically programming the mind. So it's like putting in a new program to a computer. And a lot of us from a very young age have impressions of what we believe is a reality. So, we have things passed down through our families. We take on their beliefs. We take on all of these characters because we come from a certain environment, depending on who we're in contact with. And it doesn't always serve us to our best, especially as we get into adulthood. We have these funny little perceptions and things which might be obstacles in our lives. So what neuro-linguistic programming is about reprogramming the brain. So it's like putting new software into your computer, I guess, updating it. And so it works better and you can achieve more. And it's also known as the study of excellence as well.
Mine's just funny, especially because we're specifically looking at fitness. And my perception in regards to mindset and fitness is that people get maybe a little bit put off on the techniques used, the terminology. Mm-hmm. It's funny watching guys in the gym, though. I was thinking about this on the way over. Is like they'll do, like males or females in the gym, they'll wear the specialized equipment. They'll do the brand new routine. They've got no problems rolling around on a foam roller, doing trigger point stuff. None of that seems odd to them. That's all about prep, physical. But then you ask about, okay, well, what about mental focus? What about, and it's like, oh, it's all hocus pocus. It's like, it's literally not.
Yeah,
it's literally not. Everybody who's ever gotten stressed out for a test or anything like that, or has gotten emotional, where it's like they're under stress or whatever it might be, you can feel the physical effects, but for some reason we totally ignore them. So if you're about to do a test, for example, heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up. And that's a physical response that was mentally triggered. So I don't know why people get so off-put. I'm going to wear the $90 Lululemons because I want to have a good workout.
Yeah.
But you ask me to goal set before my sessions? What hocus pocus craziness is this?
Well, I mean, it's if they're thinking that way, then they need to sort of start to read up a little bit of material, because as we know, there's elite organisations, especially like AIS and places like that, where visualisation, motivational tools are used for top athletes, which they, it works. So to begin with, our emotions are connected to everything we do. I mean, let's face it, we can wake up in the morning and just feel like absolute crap and think, I can't be bothered going and doing a workout. Whereas if it's a good day, or you've got some, really boppy music you're listening to, you all of a sudden start to feel good and you think, oh, I might just go out for a run or do whatever. So it is all connected, and there's enough research to prove that these days. So if people are arguing otherwise, they really need to do their homework, or they basically have no idea what they're talking about.
I think I personally think it's packaging. I think the way people present and what their initial perceptions, like for example, when you look at athletes and they do the same routines, and the outset they go, oh my God, that guy's so superstitious. So actually it's not necessarily superstition. A lot of sports psychologists will tell top-level athletes is like have a daily routine. So what you think is superstition, where they do the same thing at the same time, or they wear the same socks, or they have the same outfit, or whatever it is, and you think it's a superstition, so that they're successful. It's actually just routine. It's just a great way to get rid of the things that are distracting. Have the same routine, have it organised. A safe pathway to follow before an event.
Yeah. And it could be superstition, but I also think a lot of it comes down to self-belief. If you believe that you've got to do A, B, and C to be able to be, have a positive outcome in a race or something, that's not going to hurt you.
Exactly.
It links into what's called a bit of a placebo effect as well,
absolutely.
I guess. So if something works, why not use it?
Yeah.
And a lot of this is about believing that if I do these steps, that is what's going to give me a good outcome. And if you go in with a strong enough belief, the mind is so powerful that physiologically your body will just follow.
Yeah.
They always say your reality is in your thoughts. So whatever you think, that will be the outcome. It becomes a reality.
Yeah. And again, that's exactly right. And there's a distinct. We're just a funny bunch where we just sort of go, oh well, I didn't manage to get to the best, a personal best, or complete something because of my physical nature.
Yeah.
But then sort of discuss how I wasn't motivated or I wasn't feeling it that day. I said, well, that's a physical, that's a psychological thing affecting your physiology.
That's it.
And there's you don't want to sort of just use it as an excuse. You want to sort of pinpoint it as an area of improvement.
Yeah.
It's like when you, again, like if you look at fatigue, everyone's like, oh, I'm physically getting tired. So yeah, you're physically getting tired. So your central nervous system is protecting you. It is controlling your neural output to make sure you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So and if you can get past that and train that aspect, your actual physical output gets better. So you can lift that a little bit heavier, you can run that a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Look at anybody that does interval work. They start really strong in the first intervals, they sort of peter off in the middle, and they say, right, one more sprint to go. And for some reason, they up the ante, they sprint it out.
It's a bit like being a personal trainer, I guess. They always say count backwards when they're doing their reps, especially if they're getting tired, because I know it works for me. If someone says, 3 more left, I know I can try and push myself to get, I think, it's just 3. But if you're going up the other way, it seems to be psychologically you're thinking, I've got so many to do.
Exactly.
So it is psychological, and it does make a difference, whether you're motivated or demotivated, I guess. So it does work.
20 reps looks so far away. It's like, no, it's just counting to 20.
Yeah.
And so, it's doing an exercise under stress and under load. It's just counting to 20, but for some reason, somebody will get like, oh, it's just a bump in the road, and it works out nicely.
Yeah. And
some people will get like, oh my God, it's Mount Everest.
Yes.
And by the time they're at 9 or 10, they're like, oh God, I feel so sore. I feel so bad. And again, not connecting to that. So like going, see how you're putting your perceptions on that, that it feels sore, I feel tired, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's not going to help with your heart rate, your blood pressure, your production of lactic acid.
No, exactly. Because if you're stressing out enough, your body goes into stress. I mean, exercise is stress enough. But if you are thinking negatively, think about people who are negative in how they think. Crap seems to happen to them all the time.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, everything's happening to me. And it's because they've put themselves into that position. They're thinking about it all the time, that it's almost as if they're making it happen.
Yeah,
and then they say, why does stuff go so well for you? It's probably because the other person has more of a positive attitude. It doesn't mean you say everything's, all roses all the time, but it's just their attitude towards it. So if you are thinking negatively while you're exercising and like, oh my God, I hate doing this, your body's going to follow and it's not going to perform. So you've got to start to think about what you're getting out of it and maybe put your focus elsewhere, like your muscles or your breathing or something like that.
And there's so many techniques around it. You know, some people, if you feel that your mental side needs a bit of a tuning up, there are so many techniques you can use. You're not stuck in one framework. It's like how you look physically. Oh, I'm always going to look this way. No, you're not. You change your diet, you start exercising, and things change.
Yeah.
I've always thought this way. I've always been this way. It's like, well, maybe you have, but to think that there's not a plasticity in your brain and your mental capacity, you know, that's not, I want to say foolish, but it's a little bit short-sighted.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the most mentally strong person in the world, but you can be mentally stronger. You don't have to be the most focused person in the world, but you can be more focused.
Yeah.
Like your physical. You're probably not going to be the strongest person in the world, but you can train to be stronger. You may not be the fastest person in the world, but you can train to be faster. So the brain has a similar neuroplasticity, but people sort of no, I've always been this way, so I'm always going to be this way.
Yeah. And that's not true, as we know. And I mean, you know, you can't change everything. Some of it comes down to genetics, but you can be the best that you want to be, I guess, and make those little changes, like you said, like start to reframe the way you think rather than looking at something, you know, in a negative way. Change it and think, well, how can I get some good out of it? Or because it's these little tools and techniques that actually help you to progress and get better. You know, visualization, even one small step, some sort of a behavior or habit, changing one thing even every week would help you to progress. You know, there's that old Japanese saying, you know, to walk 1,000 miles, you have to take the first step.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, people get too caught up in all of the marketing stuff and all the media stuff around them. And comparison's a big thing. People have to stop comparing themselves.
Yeah.
They've just got to focus on who they are, what they can do, and their best.
Exactly. That's it. And so the first step, that little change, because you can make a little change, one little change every day or every second day or maybe every week. But as long as there's a consistency to it and something that, firstly, that you know you can do, that you know you can be successful in, and that you can springboard off to other things. A classic thing was, you know, talking to some guys the other day about making massive changes in one hit. And that's actually a recipe a lot of the time to stop or go backwards.
Yeah.
Because it was just, and then you get all stressed out that you weren't able to maintain it. It's because you probably didn't set yourself up for as successful as you can. You know, this life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
So,
you know, and it's an old cliche, but it's true. People need to just take it step at a time and work on their thinking patterns. You know, a lot of why people fall down is because they're self-sabotage. They talk themselves into believing they can't do something or something's not possible. And they need to start to change that pattern. Yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing. And you can just think about today, right now, while you listen to this, what's something very, very small you could change right now that would help you, and you could do it every single day. And just make it realistic. Make it within your grasp.
Yeah.
It could be I could go get that bottle that I've got under the sink, rinse it out, and actually have finish that bottle for the entire day. And I could do it maybe every second day as opposed to every day. But you know, something as simple as that. It could be just get the bottle out and have it in front of you. Yeah. Maybe that's the little thing. And then the next day I'll fill it up, and the next day I'll drink half of it, and the next day I'll drink 3/4 of it. It may be something as simple as that.
And it's about setting your goals, setting your intentions. I think every day when you wake up, think, what's my intention for the day? Which is very important. We should all be thinking that. What am I going to achieve today? It has, whether it's just one thing. You know, people tend to always create overwhelm with too many things. Just take one step at a time. All right, if I get this done today, I'll be happy.
Exactly.
And that's it. So it's about listing your goals and then saying, all right, like you said, which one am I going to choose to change? Always go with the easiest, because human ways is to always go, you know, the path of least effort. So choose something easy, not something too overwhelming.
Allow yourself to have some success.
Yeah, so don't set yourself up for failure.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing like, oh no, this is too easy and it's not really an achievement. Actually, in your world, it probably is. I think you don't give yourself enough credit. You know, it's like I tried a new vegetable. Someone else might come along and say, oh my God, is that what you see as an achievement? Who cares what that person thinks? Yes, it probably is. I've never tried quinoa before, and I had a plate of quinoa today. Yeah. You know, and while somebody else is making, you know, quinoa brownies up the wazoo and the rest of it, you know, and they're just going organic. And I mean, but
you don't have to go full.
Yeah.
It's just each one to themselves.
Exactly. And tick your own box.
Yeah.
Try something new.
What's healthy to one person might be a different story to someone else.
Exactly.
And, there's a huge spectrum of what healthy is, and different people do it their own ways. And, each one to their own. If it's working for them, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's not just black and white. It's very individual thing. And we all have different tastes. We all have different aesthetics. And we need to do what keeps us happy.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of it. People get into something because they feel they have to, or everyone else is doing it, and that's where they fall down.
That's it. Yeah.
Do what keeps you happy, and then you will stay on that path. It will be, sustainable for the long term.
Yeah, you get to make choices. You just need to be honest, basically, with yourself. And that's the thing is like when I hear the phrase, "I've tried everything and nothing's worked," it's probably you've tried everything physical. But maybe we need to attend to the mental. That's the problem.
And at the end of the day, what does every person want to be in life? Just happy, right? Exactly. I mean, just came to mind having a conversation with my husband a couple of days ago about Bhutan. Bhutan, it's just the principal of this country.
Okay.
So he's got a couple of students, and they were talking about they've actually, how we monitor the economy and money and all this sort of stuff within the country. They actually monitor people's happiness,
right?
To see if they are doing well.
Yeah.
Because if the people are happy, their economy is going to be sort of up there because people are giving 100%, which I think is a brilliant concept.
Exactly.
I mean, our government really doesn't, give a stiff, but But, I think it's an important thing. At the end of the day, you have to be happy with your choices. You have to be happy with where you're going, with your progression, with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be self-accepting and honest
about it as well. Yeah. That's right. You just go like, I'm honestly happy where I am, or you're like, or have you just accepted where you're at? And honest. If you're being totally honest with yourself, and you like, good, no, I could make a few changes, and I could feel better.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally about myself, just, and this is not about, again, as you were saying before, it's not about comparison. It's not about I could be like, as fit as them or as healthy as them or whatever it might be. It's just, if you just think I could eat better, I could sleep better, I could, maybe change jobs, maybe I could exercise more, whatever it is.
Change your friendship circle or whatever, because people might be there bringing you down or whatever, but use people for inspiration.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it helps you pinpoint, and and as long as your happiness is not impeding somebody else's, then, and as I said, you're just being honest with yourself, then fantastic. But the first thing is to think about pinpointing. NLP gives you those sort of tools, but just the fact that you will make that decision to change.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, to change, if we are happy physiologically, our body will react to that.
Exactly.
So it's when you're feeling down and low, you've got, high levels of cortisol, and as we know, it's a storage hormone. So we start to store fat. So if you are happy within yourself, people actually say, I feel lighter, or I'm losing weight, or my skin's glowing, because your body is adapted to that emotion. So once again, we've got this connection with the mind, the emotions, and what's happening physiologically, and also, in your behavioural aspect as well. So it is all linked. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. You just bring yourself out of the pre-contemplation where you're not thinking about whatever it might be, because maybe it could be a little bit more introspective. Bring yourself into the contemplation phase, and then that's where your acceptance of where you're at, where you want to be happens, and then you can make these little changes. It's just, and it's tiny, tiny things. It's just a tiny little mindset. Just to accept, just sort of all of a sudden go, what, I've never really, I sort of, and most people, well, not most people, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of people will just live day to day. They won't sort of, not self-analyze, but they won't sort of critique.
That's just in the tip of my tongue to mention that, because I think people, whenever they take up challenges and stuff, they're always thinking ahead of what the outcome is. I think just, like you said, once again, cliche, I'm using that word journey, but enjoy the journey.
Exactly.
Just every day, make the most of what you're doing and just enjoy and, be a little bit more present in every single situation or whatever's happening, what you're doing, rather than be worrying about the outcome. Within 6 months, before you know it, there will be massive changes. Or even if there's not massive changes, there will be change in some way.
Exactly.
There has to be. If you're changing, there will be change. But I think people are always worrying too much about, how fast is this happening, especially, losing weight.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm supposed to lose so many kilos in this 12-week challenge, and I'm halfway, and I haven't lost that. And I've seen it happen to people close to me, to clients, and it's like, stop worrying about the weight. Think about what you're doing. You've changed your habits. You're exercising more. You're eating better. So
exactly.
that's all good.
That's it.
So
that's what part of that challenge is making the change and sticking to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you've got to think, okay, well, I haven't achieved this point. I haven't got to this outcome goal. Oh, that's an excuse for me to give everything up then.
Yeah.
Because and just to drop the ball.
Yeah.
Is it really? You just got to reassess. It's like if your goal as studying political science was to be Prime Minister, well, there's a whole bunch of people out there who have failed that goal, but they haven't really failed. Just a limited number of people get to that point. Have they not succeeded in other ways? Can they not take stock in the fact that they have done so well elsewhere?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we were babies and we gave up every time we tried to stand up and walk and fell flat on our backsides, none of us would be walking.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing. Don't drop the ball. You just got to keep going and going and going. And, eventually you will sort of get into a pattern. And patterns and behaviours take time as well. People need to understand that. It's taken you, some amount of time to get the behaviour or the habit. So it's going to take a little bit of time to sort of break it.
Exactly.
You can't put a number on it. I know some people say, so many weeks to break it, 21 days or something. But I think each person, once again, is an individual. You cannot compare. You cannot just look at things in black and white and look at things in numbers. You are different, so it might take you longer, might take you quicker.
Exactly.
So,
and you'll fall backwards, which is fine because it means you can get back on. You fall off the wagon, you get back on the wagon. These things happen.
Exactly.
You just take stock and constantly be honest with yourself, be willing to challenge yourself. But as we're trying to sort of point out here, is a lot of what's happening to you is probably a mindset thing, and don't get put off by that terminology. The psychological and the physiological are linked, and they're both substantial. They've both got research behind them. They've both got quantifiable data that can show you how to use both of those aspects to improve any area of your life you want to be. People who go to the gym and get fitter tend to, a lot of the time, feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And those who basically start to feel better about themselves are more inclined to be motivated to go off and do something physical. They're connected in a way.
Yeah.
So
you've got to remember that, without our thoughts, we'd be nothing. Where we are in modern society today, everything started off as a thought.
Exactly.
So that's what, brought us from, I suppose, caveman days all the way through inventions and people being creative, and it all starts in the mind.
Exactly.
And then driving it through and taking action towards these thoughts. So people need to take that on board. And rather than worry about the aesthetics, start to think about how you can change your mind. Because once you do that and start to reprogram that, everything else, you will be amazed, starts to fall into place.
Exactly.
And start to align with everything that you want to be or desire to be in the future.
Yeah, it's got that improved control, and you're making decisions based on what you want to do.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and it's the inspiration is being internalized as opposed to externalized.
Yeah, from the inside out, like that Disney.
That's it. What is going inside your head, basically? Yeah. We actually get to control those things, as opposed to some people might think, these are out of my control. These are uncontrollable thoughts. They come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically our first podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, please share this with your friends. We're hoping just to get out there and be as inspirational as we possibly can. Get people to listen in so that we can help as many people as we possibly can. And in the future, we'll talk more on the techniques you can use from a mindset point of view. Talk about physical types of training that you can do that can result in long-term goals, but long-term actual staying with your program.
Yeah.
So the main thing is that is you need to stay on the exercise program or the sporting event or the physical to achieve it.
I mean, I've run a lot of workshops and courses, and I've written a lot of books and stuff on this. So, if people want to jump onto Synchronised Body Solutions, there's articles and things to help.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's always the coaching and therapy aspect that they can use me for as well to change their form of thinking, because it's not easy for everyone.
Yep.
So it's just being open to it and, starting to get some education about it.
Exactly. All right, and we'll provide the link to Synchronised Body Solutions as well, so you can contact Rosemary and myself direct if you have any further questions. All right, that's the first one. Thank you very much for listening in, and good luck with everything, and we will get out to you again next week.
Yep, have a good day.
All right, cheers.